You can bankrupt these organizations that spread and advance this ideology. If you can cripple their ability to receive funds, to own assets, to have headquarters buildings, to pay their bills, to pay for postage, to do whatever it is they need to do in the real world to organize and incite and encourage further attacks, well, that's more proactive, right? That's, getting the matches wet, right? That's clearing out the dry brush. That's stopping or mitigating the impact of the next fire they might try to set. One of the most famous of these cases resulted in the, I think, very satisfying outcome of this Aryan Nations compound in northern Idaho, in Hayden Lake, Idaho, not only being seized from Aryan Nations after some skinheads from that group beat and shot at a couple of random passersby one night in Idaho in 1998. That land, which was an ongoing gathering place for neo-Nazis for years, ultimately, after one of these cases, that land itself was awarded to the family that was attacked by those skinheads. The family then sold it to a guy who put up sort of a museum of tolerance on the site, which must have delighted the Aryan skinhead guys who had been using it as their camp in the woods for years. And that was 2000 and 2001, another one of these cases that made national news at the time, that put a real spotlight on that hallmark tactic in fighting at least that era of white nationalist, white supremacist, violent terrorism in the United States. But, that news footage I was just showing there, it's old looking, right? We're a couple of decades at least down the road from that. And now it sort of feels like the matches are dry again, and the dry brush has grown back. Right? When the Aryan Nations and white Aryan resistance and the United Clans of America lost their shirts, lost their robes, and their headquarters and their houses and their ability to ever have donations and their wages garnished and all of that stuff. I mean, surely those kinds of cases and the way those organizations suffered from losing those cases, that surely undercut their organizational capacity, these clan chapters, these skin. Right? The ideology hasn't gone away, and their movement has been sustained, and it certainly exists among us right now, and it perceives. The shooter from El Paso this weekend is in custody now after having killed 22 people at least and having apparently uploaded a diatribe online echoing the rhetoric of the president's re-election campaign about a Hispanic invasion at the southern border and repeating lots of other long-standing white supremacist tropes that he says he learned about online. Federal prosecutors have already announced that El Paso attack is investigated as a potential act of domestic terrorism, and that killer will be tried because he survived his attack. But in addition to that El Paso case, today in Gilroy, California, the FBI announced that they are looking at potentially the same sort of frame.
We have uncovered evidence throughout the course of our investigation that the shooter was exploring violent ideologies. We are striving what, if any, ideology he had actually settled on. Who, if anyone, he may have been in contact with regarding these ideologies. Who, if anyone, helped him or had advanced knowledge of his intentions. And why he committed this specific act of violence.
And in this case, the Gilroy case, the shooter is dead. He reportedly killed himself in the midst of all the carnage that he caused. With him dead, there's nothing at all they can do to him through the criminal law, right? That will change the fact of what he did or how he paid for it. He took his own life. He's beyond the reach of anyone's retribution or accountability. Now, this prospect that law enforcement authorities may try to determine if anybody else was involved, if anybody else knew or helped him. That is an interesting prospect. If he was indeed part of something larger, if he was motivated by, inspired by, encouraged by an ongoing violent terrorist movement. Now, what law enforcement will do about that if they find out the answer, will be interesting to see. I don't think there are, broadly speaking, any high hopes that, this federal government, that this Justice Department under William Barr, this Justice Department under President Trump is going to partake a broadly aggressive attack toward this particular type of violent extremism. But it's worth thinking about this weekend. It'll be 2 years since the huge neo-Nazi gathering and the murderous attack in Charlottesville, Virginia, after which President Trump proclaimed there were very fine people on both sides. I went back today and looked at our coverage on the show immediately following the Charlottesville attack. I was struck by the fact that even at the time, it sort of felt like we could have seen Charlottesville coming. Remember, Charlottesville was August of 2017. in the 60s before the Charlotte